to the main news. The 35th session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of African Union has suspended the decision by the chairman of the AU Commission, Moussa Faki Mahamat, to grant an observer status to Israel. Consequently, a 7-man committee of African leaders, including President Muhammadu Buhari, has been set up to critically analyze the situation and make recommendations on the best way forward in the interests of the continent. The chairperson of the African Union Commission had in July last year taken a decision to grant Israel an observer status at the AU, an action that came barely 2 months after an outbreak of violence in the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Moussa Faki Mahamat, in defense of the action, said it was within his sphere of competence and was at the express request of many member states. Nigeria and other countries were, however, dismayed at the lack of sufficient consultation and transparency, especially in view of Africans' strong support for the two-state solution. The records show that Nigeria maintains cordial relations with Israel but remains unflinching in its position on a two-state solution to the crisis with Israel and Palestine, as well as full respect of the human rights of Palestinians. Consequently, to avoid needless division amongst member states on the matter, the African leaders resolved by consensus to suspend the decision taken by the AU chairperson. A committee of 7 African leaders was therefore created to make recommendations to the AU summit, which remains worried on the development. The newly elected chairperson of the African Union, a Senegalese leader, His Excellency Macky Sall, is therefore expected to take the initiative of launching the works of the high-level committee. In the meantime, the summit, which ended on Sunday, condemned in strong terms the recent wave of military coups in parts of the continent. The African leaders, who described the unconstitutional changes of government as inimical to peace, stability and development, rectified the suspension of Sudan, Guinea, Mali and Burkina Faso from the bloc. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has returned to Nigeria after the African Union Summit in Ethiopia. He was received on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, by the FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello, Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba, Director General Department of State Services Yusuf Mogaji Berti, and other senior government officials. Wife of the Ogun State Governor, Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun, has charged the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, to be more proactive and engage in efforts to expand the economic growth of the nation. Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun gave this charge at the CITN 40th anniversary held in Lagos State. Adibola Oshomuji tells us more.
Towards strategizing on the utilization of the tax policy to enable the actualization of the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, recounted its achievement in the last 40 years.
40 years ago, nobody would have been in a position to say we will be this great today. And they have that belief, with hope, with conviction, with assurance of a future that is going to be bright, and they started it 40 years ago. I'm happy and again to celebrate the fact that our darling is alive and a strong heart to witness this day.
At the anniversary celebration held in Lagos, wife of Ogun State Governor Mrs. Bamidele Abiodun maintained that taxation remains a vital fiscal instrument for the nation's development.
In Ogun State, the administration of Governor Dakwa Abiodun recorded a massive 131% revenue increase in 2021, coming behind only Lagos, the FCT, and Rivers States. This feat was made possible through a conducive business environment and an effective tax system run by members of the CITN. Other states of the Federation are also growing their revenue. This means that our country will increasingly need tax professionals in the near future. And I know that CITN is well positioned to train and equip them for the task ahead.
The experts at the event urged government to consider tax policy as an instrument of socio-economic growth that is productive in regulating the tax system and provide basis for tax legislation and administration. Adebola Oshomuji, Ogtv News.
Ogun State government has been commended for leading in the battle against COVID-19 and the feat achieved so far in the mass vaccination of the population. A board member of the Nigerian Solidarity Support Fund, Mr. Aiboje Aij Imokwede, gave this commendation during a mass vaccination campaign to Kila Market, Orile Ilugun in the Odeda local government area. Matthew Shomi completes the report.
As a regular place for large gathering of people and a point of convergence for many, markets occupy an important center stage in the campaign for mass vaccination of the population. This informed why Kila Market at Orile Ilugun was the next port of call by the Ogun State Primary Healthcare Development Board in the campaign for mass vaccination of the population on COVID. Board member, Nigeria Solidarity Support Fund, Mr. Aiboje Aij Imokwede, said the virus poses a real challenge to every nation, state, local government, and the fund has been established in response to the outbreak.
Ogun State government with Governor Abeokuta and Commissioner for Health, Tomi Koka, they've done a fantastic job. So I came to see with my own eye whether the facts I'm seeing is true on ground, and I'm glad to see with what I see in this local government, with the people, with the efforts, with the commitment, and the very, very, very pragmatic strategies that is working. Well done. Well done.
Ogun State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tomi Koka, said the state government was concerned with the health and well-being of everyone in the state and would continue with the campaign across the states.
But we realized that we're reaching a plateau, and we knew we had to get to the grassroots. So since the 24th of January, we've started a strategy of going down to the grassroots through the local government chairman, with our councillors, our traditional rulers. We're trying to reach another 400,000 citizens of Ogun State.
Chairman of Odeda local government, Honorable Folashade Adeyemo, promised to ensure the success of the mass vaccination by enhancing the campaign in the grassroots.
I want to thank the His Excellency Governor Dr. Abiodun for the initiative of bringing the COVID-19 vaccination down to the local government level. It's been encouraging and people are turning up. So at our level at the local government, we are also trying to encourage people.
Executive Secretary of Ogun State Primary Healthcare Development Board, Dr. Elijah Ogunshola, encouraged the people to get the vaccine to protect themselves against the virus. Matthew Shomi, Ogtv News.
The federal government has received 2 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine donated by the European Union. The formal handover of the vaccines was done on Monday at the National Primary Health Care Development Agency National Strategic Cold Store, Abuja. The EU Ambassador Samuela Isopi, who made the presentation of the vaccine, said the donation is part of the EU's commitment to jointly combat the pandemic. The Executive Director, NPHCDA, Dr. Faisal Shoaib, said the federal government, also in combating the pandemic, has procured over 39 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine through a Afrexim Bank. He said only about 12 million doses of the single-shot vaccines are currently in the cold store. The federal government in August 2021 took delivery of 177,600 Johnson & Johnson vaccines in Abuja. This marked the first wave of arrivals of COVID-19 vaccines procured through the African Union. A fresh industrial crisis is brewing between Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and the federal government over what it called nonchalance to its demands. To this end, ASU has begun full mobilization of its members to commence lecture-free week in line with the directives of its National Executive Council NEC meeting in Abuja, presided over by its president, Professor Victor Emmanuel Osodeke. Our roving crew was at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, where the ASU Zonal Committee just met.
Top notchers of the Academic Staff Union of Universities in the Lagos zone, comprising state and federal universities in Lagos and Ogun State, met at the Federal University of Agriculture, FUNAB, Alabata, Abeokuta, with its members. After a marathon meeting, which ended about 12 noon on Monday, the union expressed its sadness over what it called shoddy treatment from the federal government of Nigeria on its demand since 2020, when a 9-month industrial action was embarked upon.
Well, we are here in Abeokuta on a national mobilization and sensitization congress in preparation for the impending strike action of our union. You will recall that last year we were on strike for the better part of the year, and government promised to take some action in order to ameliorate the very bad and poor working condition of university teachers in Nigeria. Unfortunately, between when we suspended that strike last year and today, more than 1 year, government has refused to fulfill the promises which they made.
The union said it was mobilizing its members, adding that strike action could only be pronounced by the National Executive Council, neck of the body.
Now that our National Executive Council meeting is coming, NEC are directed that we do a mobilization and sensitization congress in order to sensitize our members, mobilize them, our students, critical stakeholders in the education sector, so that when we come back from NEC, whatever happens, our union will not be blamed for being insensitive to the plight of our students and that of Nigeria.
Comrade Benga Adeleye says the union cannot be persuaded that the federal government is broke.
Maybe we should ask that there should be a schedule so that we can compare and contrast how much that has been given to the education sector year by year, and how much that has been given to the presidential villa, how much that has been given to the House of Reps, how much that has been given to the Senate House, how much that has been given to security, how much that has been given even to the COVID.
Meanwhile, students of the university are reacting to the impending strike. They describe it as ill-timed.
They should not strike because even like me now, I am in 200 level. Assuming we have resumed on time, I ought to be in 300 level now. You see that this thing, it will really affect us even in the future.
Yeah, I will urge the federal government to settle things with the house, to pay them their money and their salary so that everything will be okay, the academic section will be fine, so they will not have to be worried of going back home, sitting back at home and everything.
Concerning this strike, I won't lie, I won't be comfortable because it's going to affect our school. Like, it's going to, we're staying here for like 4 years. It can make us stay like 5 to 6 or 7 years.
With the strike fever gripping the various campuses of the state and federal universities nationwide, observers believe the brisk businesses and the usual hustling and bustling on campuses would definitely slow down considerably. Adefowora Adesanwo, Ogtv News.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says it plans to introduce self-service registration outlets in Abuja and Lagos to leverage the digital competence of its computer survey candidates. JAMB disclosed this in its weekly bulletin from the Office of the Registrar on Monday in Abuja. It said that the system is expected to reduce crowds at its accredited computer-based test centers in both cities. The idea, the board explained, is to advance the digital competence of candidates who can do the registration on their own. The board expressed confidence that the service provider, Bankfort, had assured of an immense potential of the seamless registration mode. The federal government has said that it will build 12 prototype libraries in some states to improve library services and promote reading culture among the youth in the country. Speaking at the groundbreaking of the multi-million naira prototype library building in Ilorin, Kwara State, the national librarian Professor Chinwe Anenobi said the library would boost research and deepen reading culture in Nigeria. Anenobi, who officially handed over the project site to the contractor Cage Works, Net Limited, at a brief ceremony in Ilorin, commended President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration for prioritizing the development of library program in Nigeria. She noted the location of the new library edifice in the state in new GRA would create accessibility for members of the public and surrounding communities to make maximum use of the library. Coming up next, 104 ISWAP fighters' families surrender to troops. More news and reports after this timeout. Join us again. Welcome back. The newly inaugurated marshals of the Soul Safe Corps have been charged to be civil and upright in discharging their duties to the public in a bid to complementing the security architecture of the state. The Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo, gave the charge at the inauguration of the Grand, Special and Corps Marshals by the Soul Safe Corps at Government House, Isalekbe, Abeokuta. Ronke Adeyemi reports.
In recent years, the Ogun State Community, Social Orientation and Safety Corps, SOSAFE, have continued to play an integral role in making policing at the grassroots possible, as well as contributing to the peace enjoyed in the state. For further integration into community policing and being the first of its kind, the SOSAFE Corps is inaugurating citizens who have displayed impeccable characters as Grand Marshals, Special Marshals and Corps Marshals for effective policing at the grassroots. Representing the Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Akim Balogun, gave kudos to SOSAFE Corps in making their presence felt across the state.
The inauguration of the Security and Safety Grant Special and Corps Marshal today, I am sure you are expanding your personnel scope, which will make your presence to be more felt in all the nooks and crannies of the state.
Dignitaries at the event reiterated that the issue of security is of utmost importance and enjoined the marshals to demonstrate professionalism when exercising their civic duty.
And I'm very, very sure and sincere that we know with the caliber of people and the personality of people we have there as our marshals, we know that ESCA will not only be a limit for us.
The state is adjudged to be one of the safest in the country. And what we are doing today is a testimony of the fact that we want that status to be maintained.
The new marshals were then officially inaugurated into their various units, after which awards were presented to outstanding officers in the zones. The newly inaugurated marshals highlighted what were required of them in performing their duties.
What we have done today is to expand the human resources available to the SOSAFE Corps by engaging community leaders, religious leaders, and all other, stakeholders.
Watchdogs, wherever we have information concerning security, we give them the hints and they work on it.
To support the zeal of the new marshals, they were presented with a patrol vehicle and 5 motorcycles to aid smooth operations. At Ronke Adeyemi, Ogtv News.
104 members of the Islamic State of West African Province, ISWAP, and the families have surrendered to troops, the Nigerian Army has said. The Army disclosed this on Monday. According to the Army, the former ISWAP fighters surrendered their weapons on Saturday to troops of the 25 Task Force Brigade in Damboa town of Borno State. A breakdown of the figure shows that 22 of those received by the soldiers are men, 27 of them are women, and the remaining 55 are children. The Nigerian Navy ship NLS Pathfinder has launched another onslaught against illegal oil refiners with the destruction of 2 additional camps in Abeokuta local government area of Rivers State. The Nigerian Navy is pushing the war against illegal refineries into the creeks with a collaboration of local vigilantes spearheaded by the local council authorities. Abisa Creek is reportedly notorious for the illegal oil refining activities and also as hideout for sea pirates. Over 5 refining outlets were brought down. It was gathered that about 3 suspects have also been arrested by the local vigilante on their path have been useful in providing intelligence to the hidden locations of these illegal oil refining activities.
What is most pleasing, particularly today or during the conduct of this operation, is the level of cohesion between the Navy, the local civil authorities, and of course other security agencies. And it is my belief that that is a key enabler towards the attainment of our collective objective of fighting economic saboteurs in Rivers State.
Concern to the local government council authorities and stakeholders is the impact of these illegal oil refining activities on the environment.
It's destroyed. It brings poverty. It brings suffering. Because you can see, while we are even coming, you can see the river is highly polluted. And by study, this land can never be the same in the next 70 years.
Authorities of the Nigerian Defense Academy Kaduna have observed that it is becoming increasingly difficult for many states in the country to have adequate number of candidates fill their quotas at the academy, especially at the level of Armed Forces Selection Board. According to a statement, this worrisome development has been further accentuated by the fact that there has been massive failure in the medical test and credential screening as a result of application by rank and mostly unqualified candidates from the various states. In view of this, qualified candidates from Ogun State are to apply for admission into the Nigerian Defense Academy. The Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC has begun an operation tagged Special Intervention Patrol to address the high rate of road traffic crashes in FCT and Niger states. Speaking during the launch of the operation on Monday in Abuja, the Zonal Commanding Officer, Zone RS7 Assistant Corps Marshal Shehu Mohammed said that the rate of crashes in the zone was alarming. Mohammed said that the Special Intervention Patrol, which will be between February and November, was to ensure crashes were reduced to the barest minimum this year and beyond. The FRSC official said that the zone would also be frowning seriously at some offenses like excess speed, which was a speed limit violation, and vehicles without speed limiting devices. He said, for us to consolidate, we are going to look at those vehicles that are always overloaded because they contribute to crashes. Mohammed said one of the reasons the Corps was embarking on the operation was because some drivers had psychological or traditional beliefs that they were immune to traffic accidents or crashes. He noted that such drivers were always on speed and driving dangerously because they believed that they had immunity to crashes. The federal government has urged Nigerian citizens living in Ukraine to remain calm and be security conscious following recent events generated between Ukraine and Russia. The chairman and CEO of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Honorable Abeokuta, made this known in a statement in Abuja. She expressed assurance that the Nigerian embassy in Kiev, Ukraine, is doing all it could to ensure the safety and security of all diaspora Nigerians in that country. Abeokuta urged Nigerian citizens in Ukraine to visit the embassy website and follow the registration process. Journalists and other members of the public were on Monday barred from covering proceedings of an Ikeja coroner's court unraveling the circumstances surrounding the death of Sylvester Oromoni, a 12-year-old student of Dowen College, Lagos. The coroner, Magistrate Mikhail Kadiri, ordered journalists and other members of the public out of the court because the deceased sister, a minor, was slated to testify. The minor came with her father, Sylvester Oromoni Sr., who is also slated to testify. Invoking Section 191 of the Child Rights Law of Lagos State, the coroner said proceedings will be held privately. Earlier, when the minor entered the witness box, counsel for the Nigerian Bar Association, Bernard Oniga, requested that the press and other members of the public to leave the court. Counsel for one of the accused students of Dowen College, Godwin Omoaka San, agreed with Oniga's submission. The 12-year-old student reportedly died on November 30th, 2021 from injuries sustained in an attack by 5 senior students of Dowen College for refusing to join a court. An Ikeja High Court has fixed March 2 for hearing of a suit against Ikeja Electric and Eco Electricity Distribution Company over their failure to implement the other capping estimated billing of some of their customers. The suit, which will be heard before Justice Lateef Lawal Akakpo, was filed by the All Electricity Consumers Protection Forum. The originating summons, filed by the group's lawyer Olalekan Mati, is supported by a 25-paragraph affidavit deposed to by its National Secretary, Kehinde Akinloye Jones. The claimant alleged that the defendants had failed to comply with the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission order on capping of unmetered residential 2 and commercial 1 electricity customers. The claimant asked the court to determine whether it was within the power of discourse to disobey the directives of NERC pursuant to Section 63(1) of Electric Power Section Reform Act 2005. They therefore asked the court for a declaration that the act of the first and second defendants' violation of the capping method was unlawful. The only reason man was created by God was to serve him. Therefore, every mortal must be dedicated to his service at all times. Chief Imam of Ayikpe, Sheikh Idowu Awosanya, made this assertion at the 90th birthday celebration of the Ayikpe-born textile manufacturer and industrialist Alhaji Shafi Mobalaji Shito, held at his residence in Ayikpe, Ijebu. Matthew Shomi completes the report.
An enterprising and industrious personality, Alhaji Shafi Mobalaji Shitu ventured into textile business in the mid-50s. His passion, dedication, commitment, and genuine love for his people and the community led to the establishment of the indigenous textile industry in Ayope, Ijebu in 1972. As the Baba Adene of Ayope, Alhaji Shafi Mobalaji Shitu clocks 90, it was a time to celebrate a life full of many great accomplishments and appreciate Allah for the journey so far, as he was joined by Iya Adene of Ayope Central Mosque, Chief Mrs. Adebisi Kuburat Idionseri, wives, children, family members, and traditional rulers in Akile Ijebu. Chief Imam of Ayope, Sheikh Idowu Awosanya, said there are 4 categories of human beings created by Allah, and the celebrant represents the best among the 4 categories.
Our Baba belongs to the group of people who will gain in this world and who will also gain in the hereafter.
Dagburi of Idowa, Oba Yunusa Adekoya, said the whole of Akile Ijebu is proud of the achievements and contributions of Alhaji Shitu as a worthy son of the land. The reception was held in the same venue where Chief Mrs. Adebisi Idionseri described the Baba Adene as the best anyone could have around.
He is a great industrialist who created employment opportunities for many through the textile business.
One of the children, Honorable Wale Shitu, and other family members appreciated Allah for the gift of long life.
He is a great pillar
And that pillar, we don't want it to fall now. And may he not fall forever.
He takes us as mentor, is our mentor, is our friend. You know, when a father makes you your friend, you know what that means?
It's a person that you can reckon as one of the great people you can ever talk of in Ayegbe.
The new lunar general said he can only thank Allah for his grace.
I'm the happiest man in the world.
Even at 90, the birthday boy can still appreciate Allah with a dance. Matthew Showme, Ogtv News.
Up next is business news. Join us again.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. Figures from the central bank have indicated a decline in the external reserves below the $40 billion mark to the lowest point in the over 3 months. The reserves dropped to $39.82 billion on February 2, 2022, from $40.53 billion as at December 30, 2021. The country's external reserves had jumped from $39.82 billion on October 15, 2021, to a high of $41.83 billion on October 29, on the back of Eurobond inflow and the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights. The country's external reserves rose by $5.12 billion last year, from $35.7 billion at the end of 2022, according to CBN data. The Securities and the Exchange Commission has said it is committed to making the capital market attractive to all Nigerians. The Director General Secretary, Mr. Lamido Yuguda, said this during a meeting with a team led by the British Deputy High Commissioner in Abuja. According to him, the Commission is implementing various initiatives to ensure that products and offerings in the market are accessible to both the young and old, which will further deepen the market. Yuguda said the Commission observed that the average age of account holder in market was over 50, and it realized that the young people were not participating in this market, and when young people were not participating in any market, that market was doomed to fail. The Nigerian Exchange NGX will focus on 5 major areas in the year as the exchange seeks to deepen access and attract new generation of investors to the market. Chief Executive Officer Nigerian Exchange NGX, Mr. Temi Pokwola, said the exchange will drive its growth in 2022 by focusing on 5 strategic areas, including building on digital transformation, listings and delistings, technology, partnerships, and sustainability. He noted that last year was historic for the exchange as the defunct Nigerian Stock Exchange, NSE, completed its demutualization process following statutory approvals from the Securities and Exchange Commission and Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC. Popola said the NGX will seek to consolidate its historic status with a new valve of digitization by creating innovative and automated access to the market, while ensuring overall quality of listed companies and ease of capital raising process. The Managing Director, Chief Executive, Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, Mr. Bello Azan, has said the corporation will continue to build capacity in procurement processes. Azan spoke at a 2-day capacity building workshop for management staff of the corporation in Lagos. He said as part of efforts to remain a learning and growth institution abreast with the development in the procurement processes, the NDIC found it necessary to hold and its implications on procurement. The NDIC found it necessary to the workshop. Mr. Bello added that this would further engage the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, in a deeper conservation on the NDIC challenges in the procurement processes. The aim of this management retreat was to ensure that participants acquaint themselves with salient provisions of the Public Procurement Act 2007 and to have a greater understanding of the procurement processes. Thousands of telecommunication subscribers nationwide seeking to retrieve their lost subscriber identity model cards or acquire new lines temporarily have been left stranded following a technical glitch in the National Identity Management Commission portal that has grounded SIM-related services. The affected NIMC portal enables telecom firms, the Nigerian Immigration Service, banks, and other organizations to verify the national identity number of their customers before attending to them, in line with the federal government's directive. Following the directive by the Nigerian Communications Commission for the inclusion of NIN in the requirement for all new and existing SIM cards, telecom firms are required to synchronize their SIM registration portals with the NIMC portal in order to verify the details of their subscribers. Downtime enters 6th day. MTN, Glo, Airtel, Nine Mobile suspend SIM replacement acquisition. However, the downtime experienced over the last few days by the NIMC portal has made it almost impossible for telecoms firms to sell new SIM cards or retrieve lost line. And that was business news. Back to Iyabo for the rest of our news.